He's a chief profitability advisor for business owners. Profit comes first in business. That one of his advocacy, none other than Mr. Rocky Lalvani.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Welcome, welcome, Mr. Rocky. I'm Book 101 Review, and can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Basically, I work with business owners and I help them to have what we call an easy, lucrative, and fun business. You went into business to make money and to enjoy life. And so you should be able to achieve that. And that's what we help our business owners do.
Yes, lucrative, lucrative business indeed. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Rocky. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So let's talk about profit comes first in business. Let's start with the core idea. When you say profit comes first, do you mean it is the ultimate measure of success or as the primary emotional constraint that guides every decision?
So I think people get a little confused when we talk about profit and profit coming first. People think that it might be greedy or that it's selfish. But here's the reality of it. If you want to pay your people well, you need to be profitable because if you don't have money, you can't make payroll. If you want to do good in your community or give back or do any of those types of things, you need to have profit and cash flow. Otherwise, you can't do those types of things. And so I want to be clear that this is not about greed. It's about running a well run business that allows you to do the types of things that you want to do within your community and do the types of give backs that you want to. But at the end of the day, if you're not profitable, how are you going to pay your people?
Yes. How will you pay your people? We need profit, profit, people. So, how do you distinguish profit comes first from a short term profit maximization at the expense of everything else?
Well, and so that's the thing, right? We want a long term business. We want a business that's always growing and increasing and being able to serve the owner and the things that they want to achieve. And so, in order to do that, you have to make the right decisions over time. We don't want to do short term decisions that might make us money in the moment, but that hurt the overall success of the business. It's not hard. It takes a lot to get a customer, it takes very little to lose a customer. And so, I think you have to balance those in a way that works for you so that you can ensure that you continue to survive. Otherwise, your business doesn't make it. And unfortunately, the statistics show most businesses don't survive. And so you got to do it right.
You gotta do it right, people. And many argue that purpose, customer value, or employee welfare should come first, with profit as a result. What is the fundamental flaw you see in that approach?
So the question is, if your people come first and you overpay them, or the business isn't sustainable, then how do you keep paying them? I don't understand how that's going to work. The business has to have excess cash flow. If it doesn't, you can't achieve that result that you just talked about. Yes, you have to treat your people well, but if you don't have money, how are you going to treat them well?
Yes, definitely. How would you treat them if you don't have funds? Let's talk about the practical application and decision making. Can you walk us through a specific top decision where applying the profit first principle led you to choose a path that felt counterintuitive or uncomfortable, but proved right in the end?
Well, so we look at all businesses through the same lens. And basically, that lens is there are three drivers in business. The first driver is driving revenue. If you don't have sales, then nothing else is going to matter. The second driver is that profit driver. After we sell something and we deliver it, are we profitable? And the third driver that we look at is cash. So just because you sell something and you're profitable doesn't mean you have cash in the bank. And so we have to look at all three of those through an appropriate lens. Within each of those drivers, there are levers. There's about five or six in each one. And when you understand the levers, then you know where in your business you need to put your time and effort to ensure that it is doing what you want it to do. And once you see how that flows, it becomes easy to make those types of decisions because you'll see what needs done. And then you can decide what is the best way for you to do that that meets your values and your goals as a company. But at the end of the day, it has to what we call math out. And if it doesn't, then be aware of that. And if you want to do something and lose money, that's fine. But be aware that you're losing money and it's more of a hobby than it is a business.
Be aware, people. Be aware. And Mr. Rocky, how does this philosophy tangibly shape your budgeting and resources allocation? Does the profit first filter get applied to things like R&D, marketing, or workplace amenities?
It does. So at the end of the day, you have to look at a very simple thing. When you're in business, you make investments, and what you're talking about is investments, correct? In
Yes.
those different things. So, my question to you is this: if you're going to make an investment in one of those things, what is the return? How is that going to generate more revenue for you so that you can do the things that you want? If it's not going to do that, then it doesn't make sense to make those investments. And too often we don't measure how well we are at making investments. So that's one of the jobs of the business owner is to allocate capital. So when we're making these investments, what is the potential return on them and does it make sense? So even if you're looking at people, you said, I think within the office, do we offer free coffee to our people? Does it fit your values? Is it affordable? And does it make people want to work better and then give you a better return? Some of these things are easier to measure than others. And so you have to figure out what is your culture and how does that fit? And what is the amount that we can afford to pay on this and still continue to do business?
Interesting, Mr. Rocky. So, in a scenario where you could either satisfy a loyal customer at a significant cost or protect the quarter's profit target, what does the profit first dictate you do?
So that's an interesting question. And the question is, why would we have to do something at a significant loss for a client? What went wrong to begin with? Did we make a mistake? Did we misquote? What was the original driver of that outcome? And what is a reasonable way to handle it? Again, that goes back to your values as a company and the culture that you create. During COVID, this became a problem. So if you took a look at certain industries during COVID, they promised to make deliveries and to do something at a certain price. COVID comes along and all their inputs dramatically shifted. The cost of doing business dramatically changed. They had to decide, what are we going to do and how are we going to make it through this situation? If you continually give away too much, then your doors close. Is that what is best for the customer? That you can no longer service them, you can no longer stand behind them, you can no longer warranty the products that you sold them or deliver whatever it is that you said that you were going to do for them. So these are not simple decisions. They are complicated decisions, but you have to look at it from all different sides and you have to know what your company believes and how you're going to do that. But unfortunately, a lot of companies went out of business during COVID because they couldn't make those decisions wisely, or they didn't have the choice to, or they didn't have the cash reserves to get through a difficult time. And the reality is, there are always difficult times. So you always have to have the cash to help you survive till tomorrow so you can continue to do that.
You should have the cash. Yes. And Mr. Rocky, how do you balance investing for long term growth with the profit first mandate?
Well, so investing for long term growth is not at all at odds with the profit mandate. The question is if we're investing for long term growth, what is the return on our investment? I'm guessing that when someone makes these choices, there's multiple things that they might look at. It won't be one choice, but maybe six or eight different choices. And so I think the odds and the thing is to sit down and look at those different choices and say, where is my best return? If I invest in option A and I get a 10% return, I invest in option B, maybe I lose 5%. If I invest in option C, I gain 20%. And so now the question is, well, maybe I should go after option C. It gives me the best return. The other side of that is how big of an investment it is, because investment C might require a much larger investment than investment A. And if you don't have the ability to make that investment and see it through, then maybe A is a better option. But at least knowing what are the returns of the choices I'm making and what are my expectations, along with what's the cash that I need as part of that investment, is important.
Interesting and empowering answer, Mr. Rocky. Let's talk about the impact and team and culture. Profit come first can sound a transactional to employees. How do you communicate these to your team so they don't feel like mere cost centers of cogs in profit machine?
So I think that all comes down to the culture and how you build it within your company. The reality is someone is going to build culture. Either you do it intentionally or someone else is doing it for you. But at the end of the day, I think people understand something. Is anyone going to show up and work for you for no paycheck because they care? I don't know about that. I don't think most employees would. So we have to be honest with each other. They are coming to make a paycheck. And at the same point, in order for them to make a paycheck, you have to make a paycheck. That's just the simple way it is. I think a lot of times employees don't realize the cost of doing business. So they might say, hey, I came in and you're paying me $25, but you sold something for $100. You're making $75. The reality is, most business owners aren't making $75. They might be making a dollar or two on that transaction. And so you've got to educate them. There's the cost of the building, there's the payroll taxes, there's the health insurance, there's the cost of delivering the service, there's the cost of marketing, there's the cost of other employees, there's the cost of so many different things. And I think helping people to be aware of how much it really costs to run a business helps them to see that it's not about greed, it's just about what it takes to have this all come together and work.
Yes, all together too. How to make this work for sure, for the better of the company itself. How do you prevent a profit first culture from devolving into internal competition like silos or ethically gray behavior where people hit targets at any cost?
So I think that again, all of these things come down to your culture. Do you create incentives that allow that to happen? Do you have safeguards in place? Do you teach people how you want them to do business? So there's a lot of big companies where that became a problem. They gave them incentives and they pushed them to make those goals at all costs. And when you do something like that, you may end up with what you just talked about. So you have to be in alignment. These aren't questions about whether or not you're profitable. These are questions about how you ethically do business. And making money has nothing to do with your ability to be ethically running your business. They are not like oil and water that don't mix. They go together if you choose to have them go together. I don't think it's A or B, it's both. But you've got to make that the culture of the business and you have to reward that.
Okay, Mr. Rocky, chief as a chief profitability advisor, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
My long-term goals
Yes, please.
if you look at the average business, I think half of them don't make it past 5 years. Our goals are to help more business owners actually stay in business and to be able to survive and thrive. The reality is small business is what hires so many people in the country. And the only way they can do that is if they survive and thrive. So our goal is to help them do that so that we can offer jobs and we can make the country a better place and we don't have to rely on somebody giving us a handout. We can earn our living and feel good about it.
Yes, definitely we want to thrive, Mr. Rocky. We need to thrive, people. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you? And good luck to your goals and looking forward for more success.
Well, I think if you want to do something, you have to first set what your targets are and what you want to achieve. If you don't know where you're going, it's very easy to get distracted and to not follow through on what you're supposed to do. So I think the first and foremost thing, we're recording at the end of 2025. If you haven't set your 2026 goals of what you're looking to achieve, then where are you going? How do you know you're going in the right direction? How do you know you're doing what you're supposed to be doing? And how do you know you're on track or off track? So I think the biggest thing is define what your year looks like, what you want to be, and then go out and do it.
Go out and do it, people. Stop procrastinating. And thank you for that advice. Mr. Rocky, and can you please recommend a book of books that influence your journey?
Sure, there's a great book right behind me. It's called The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham, and it's literally about how to think. He gives you hundreds of questions about how to think differently about your business. At the end of the day, that's what business owners need to do. They need to work on their business, not in their business. And he gives you tons and tons of questions about how to think and how to evaluate your business and deal with the many things that come up in running a business so that you can do a better job at it.
How to think. Thank you for that recommendation, Mr. Rocky. I will think carefully what will be my next procedure to getting better and better and better in podcasting. So, tell us, critics say this model is what leads to corporate scandals, burnout, and damage of brand reputations. What's the key to executing it responsibly so it builds a durable company, not a fragile one?
Well, and I think these questions all still come back to culture and the values that you set. If you create the culture and the values that do that, then you're going to get that. It doesn't matter. This methodology has nothing to do with it or not do with it. That's how you choose to run your business, how you choose to treat people, how you choose to show up in your business. And so again, and I said it before, they are not separate types of things. It's not like one or the other. You can have both together or you can not have both together. Um, that's a choice you make. But that comes down to how you behave in your company and how you lead your company. So I don't think they have anything to do with each other as a part of the system itself. That's just a choice in the values that people have.
Yes, it's your choice, people, to do the right thing to you. business. So, can you make a public company or leader you believe exemplifies the responsible obligation of profit comes first as a sustainable strategy?
So, if you look at some companies that have been around for a long, long time and been successful, it's something like Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's company. He's continually to have good, profitable company. He invests in people and he leaves them alone. He's like, look, you know how to run the business. I'm not going to bother you. You have targets, go make it happen, and he lets them go do that. Of course, he does expect a profit and he knows how to invest in business models that are going to be profitable. If you look at the business model, which is what we talked about before, some business models are just going to really always struggle. And some business models, it is much easier to make money. And so pick a business model that's easier to make money with. And it has to do with just the whole way you design and set up your business. You can take the same business and make it hard. You can take the same business and make it easy. That's a choice you make. That comes back to thinking about your business and not just seeing what happens.
It's a choice that you will make, people, and choose the right thing to do. And Mr. Rocky, if every business adopted a strict profit first mindset, what do you think the net effect will be? Innovation, society, and the economy.
Well, let's face it, if businesses do well and they succeed, then what are they going to do? They're going to hire more people, provide more jobs, provide better services, improve their offerings. And so things do get better. Um, maybe it's a bit idealistic, but the reality is if we can do that and we do it with the right culture and values, then everyone wins in it. And that comes down to how people decide to do it. You can take these same models and have bad outcomes, or you can take them and have good outcomes. It really comes down to how you want to behave. And our goal is to work with people who want to behave. It's not about the money, it's about the impact in what you do and helping to ensure that you can do it.
You can do it, people. You can do it. Looking at industries like healthcare or education, where missions are deeply human centric, is it profit comes first and appropriate for dangerous guiding principle?
Dangerous guiding principle? I don't see how that can be. Again, it's not the principles of that. It's just the way you show up. Right now, healthcare is a mess. And a lot of those healthcare organizations are nonprofits. So how is it we have so many nonprofits that aren't supposed to make money in healthcare doing a horrible job? It's not the system, it's the way people show up. So that's got to change.
Yes, we need to change people for a better good. So, Mr. Rocky, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please to listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, a comedy 101 in a third season, and Food 101 in sixth season. This December, Geography 101, Love Letters, Movie 101 Review, Music 101 our fourth season, Science 101, Sex 101 in its second season, MRBB Podcast, Mental Health 101, Law 101, Bible Verses 101, and Entrepreneurship 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. Would you be my guest on Entrepreneurship 101, Mr. Rocky? And let's talk about business mindset.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you. So, finally, for a founder listening who is passionate about their product and mission but struggling financially, what is the one piece of profit first advice you'd give them to turn things around? Profit answer, man.
I think you need to sit down and understand your numbers, understand what it takes to deliver what it is that you want to do and what it's going to cost. And either you're going to have to charge the appropriate prices or figure out how to make it work with the pricing that the market is willing to pay. But until you know what those answers are, you're not going to be able to achieve that. So having clarity on your numbers is the number one thing you got to do.
Clarity indeed. And Mr. Rocky Lalvani, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah, so we teach a lot of what we do on the Profit Answer Man podcast. So if you listen to podcasts, you can check it out wherever you listen to it. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Rocky Lalvani because if you support him for sure, more and more empowering episode of the podcast, more and more empowering cash flow. All right, so Mr. Rocky, thank you so much for your time. Modicon people, see you soon.